Stanley, no. Hey there. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Katrina.
Hey there.
Ryan Gibson.
What's up?
It is a beautiful sunny day. I can't complain about anything. What's up with you?
I'm the same. I'm just driving down 5 and looking at a nice looking mountain on a beautiful day. Good.
Yeah. Julie is not going to be on the call today. She's got some big things cooking, and
Nice.
so she's not able to be here. And she asked me to just she asked me to just ask some questions and lead the call. So, or I guess just really facilitate a conversation with all the greatness that's here in this group. So Ryan, tell us what's up in your world.
Well, today is a very exciting day. We're breaking ground on a storage project right here in Washington, 110,000 square feet. And today's the first official day we moved dirt. So I'm headed down to set up a construction camera and kind of check in on things.
That's exciting. And is that local, you said?
Yeah, just south of Maple Valley. We're building storage and retail, very small retail, only like 1,000 square feet. But we're building about 755 units of storage, RV parking, and non-climate controlled storage.
That's fascinating. I don't have any experience in that world. I've got a couple of questions, but just, can you give us an update on commercial lending?
Yeah, it's starting to thaw out a little bit. It was ice cold for a few months. The banks were really tight on things. But on the commercial lending side, things are starting to very slowly open back up. I'm not talking hard money. Debt funds have been open, hard money's been open. But a couple of lenders, kind of tightened down a little bit. But actual kind of conventional low interest financing is good. Actually, we're looking at the loan for this project. We're looking at 3.5% interest, 25-year amortization, very attractive terms, starting to come back to the market down of, just people just stop lending. And that still is going on, but it seems like people are warming up to it a little bit more.
So it's opening back up and terms are good, rates are good.
Yeah.
That gives us a lot of optimism and hope for the post-COVID. I don't know if you guys saw Julie's message on Facebook, but she let us all know, and I didn't know this was going on, that if you need to renew your license, or if you are ready to get your license, the DOL is going to be shut down for 10 days for work. And so get that done today. If you have that coming up, you don't want to be in a position of not being able to do anything for 10 days while they're shut down.
When does that start?
I believe it starts, she said not today, it may start tomorrow. So if you've got a renewal, make sure you're doing it today.
Holy cow, and why are they shutting down?
It just is something you'll see on their site. It's for, it sounds like it's for maintenance on their system, or maybe they're switching over to something new. It's a long time to shut down though.
Huh, that's interesting. Okay, thank you.
So who's got questions or needs help with anything? What are you working on?
I can tell you that I'm taking a flip. I just signed an agreement to buy a flip that's in Bellingham, which is way out of my area. So if anybody has good contractors in Bellingham, I'd love to hear from you and just connect to get some references once I have a better sense of the scope of this project.
All right, anyone got any resources in Bellingham? Look at Rick, connect with Rick. let's see, what else? Anything you're working on? Questions? We've got some good brain power here in this group. We can help each other out.
I saw someone on our Wari post that the QM mortgage or QM lending was back. It was earlier today. I don't know if that person's on this call. Does anyone know if that's if there are companies that are starting to lighten up on that?
They are coming back. It's warming up.
But are they stupid? Are they stupid rates, or are they going back to being?
I haven't seen the rates, so I can't say for sure.
So Justin, I'm going to show my ignorance here. What is QM?
Good question.
Qualified mortgage.
Yeah. So
it's a mortgage. It's a mortgage that meets Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac standards. So if it's non-QM, which is the market that dried up, it means non-Fannie Freddie product outside of guidelines. So, you know, if the DTI is too high or something of that nature, they would have to go to a non-QM lender, which typically has higher interest rates than a Fannie Freddie lender. So the non-QM market is the one that dried up, and it's now slowly coming back.
So Justin, are you looking for lending resources?
Yeah, I've got. I was doing refis on 3 of my rental properties, and then in the middle of doing one of them, they made the self-employment restrictions a little bit too restrictive for me, especially since we're still in the process of doing our 2019 taxes, and that was one of the requirements that they wanted. So I've got 2 projects that I'm almost complete with that I'm going to need to do some sort of lending in there, because I'm keeping them as a rental property. One of them I'm only keeping for a couple of years. The other one is going to be long term. It's not something. I just need to not. We used certain lending in the past. The program they have is great. So.
Okay. Hey, Rick, does that program that you're working on getting the line of credit, do they do funding for anything besides rehabs, or is it just, or do they have anything for renters, landlords? I mean,
they do have a buy and hold program, and let me look it up. So Justin, she's talking about Finance of America Commercial, and you can Google them as well. The person that I'm working with there is Stephen Parks. Sparks at Sparks at financeofamerica.com. He can fill you in on more, but I'm certain that they've got a buy and hold program. I just don't. I'm not.
Do they lend to LLCs, or do they lend to LLCs, or is it all?
They will lend to an LLC.
Okay.
What are their terms on the line of credit you're working on, Rick?
So it varies. It varies depending on experience and a $4 million threshold for borrowing, but and honestly, I haven't seen their latest rates, so I'm not sure if pre-COVID and post-COVID are the same. So why don't I verify that and find out exactly what their lending rates are, and then post it to the group on Facebook.
Okay, so good. We've got a question. It says, I have a single family home in Renton that has a mother-in-law finished basement. Can I rent the property to 2 different tenants, i.e. have 2 leases, one for the MIL, for the mother-in-law, and one for the main unit? Does anybody know anything about that?
I think somebody replied to that and said, no, you cannot do it. Typically, you have to live in it to rent a mother-in-law. In Seattle, I believe the rules changed not that long ago. Seattle City.
Oh, the Barbie's going swimming.
I believe Seattle changed not that long ago with a lot of other property regulations that were changing that allow you to do it now in Seattle, but I'm not sure about Renton.
All right, so you have to, if you're going to rent out a mother-in-law, then you have to be owner occupied to be able to do that.
I believe so. They could call their Department of Planning or somebody within the city of Renton to find out. They can easily find that out.
All right. Let's see. What else? Any questions? Interesting projects?
Does anyone have or know of a property in Seattle or a place where you could take a person that's in hospice for temporary? Does anyone know of anything like that? Gordon, you probably know who I'm talking about.
So the question is, a short-term stay?
Exactly.
They're in
hospice. They're in hospice. They're in Ohio. They need to come to Seattle to finish things out, and they're looking for a temporary home, a month or less.
And what about Airbnb or some short-term rental site like that?
That's something I can share with her. I'm sure there's lots of those. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Does it need to be furnished?
Yeah.
Could it be a room, or does she need the whole property? Or he or she need the whole
No, it could be a room. The daughter lives in West Seattle. The mother would like to be close by. So, you know, West Seattle actually would be ideal, but they are looking for something right away because she's coming back to Seattle right away. So,
okay. Does any,
you know, and when I say a room, they're also going to need to have a nurse that can come in and out, a hospice person. So it's basically end of life care. I guess those places are hard to come by these days.
So if anybody knows of anything, get in touch with Deborah. If you've got any resources, or you know someone who might know a place for for her friend, connect with her.
Thanks.
Is anybody looking for any specific deals? What are you looking for right now? Is anyone putting any deals together right now, or give me an idea? Are you just on hold? Some people are kind of in a place where they're just observing and seeing what happens. Where are you at? Are you acquiring? Are you divesting? Are you waiting and seeing? What's your strategy right now?
Yeah, this is Aaron. I can jump in. So we did go on hold a little bit for kind of the local flipping. Although based on what I'm hearing with the lending, I'm starting to look again for some good local projects. But you know, the wholesalers are still putting out deals that really don't have enough margin for, you know, any kind of swing that the market might bring. So kind of holding off on that, but meanwhile, still working on renovating at a distance. Got a triplex in Pittsburgh I'm working on. And just a little tip for anybody who is investing out of state, just something I just learned yesterday. So county records and city records could be different in terms of how your property is classified. So in this example, my county records are classified as a triplex, and that's what I bought it as. City records, the last occupancy certificate that was provided was for a commercial daycare with one dwelling unit. And so when my electrician went to go pull permits to put new service to the property, they wouldn't let him pull the permits because it's not listed as a triplex with the city. So now I'm having to jump through some major hoops to get an architect, and I have to show them stamped drawings of the floor plans and prove that it's a triplex without doing any structural work to it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, just a little tip for anybody who's doing any long distance investing and, you know, or trying to renovate properties that you're not familiar with the local.
So are you saying that the zoning is different than the use, and they won't allow you to go back to the what it's zoned for?
Correct. So yeah, so like the county tax records still show it as a triplex. And
is that triplex conforming to the current zoning?
You know, it's not a zoning issue. It's an occupancy classification. So the city has approved it as a commercial property with a daycare and a 1 dwelling unit. And in order to get that changed, you have to just jump through a bunch of hoops and provide drawings and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really interesting. So it's got a varied history, but that never came up during the purchase. And it's just something I'm discovering many, many, many months down the road here. So it's just a tip for anybody who's investing in areas they don't know, is just make sure if it's in a city jurisdiction.
Right. Who would you what question would you say to ask if you were going back and starting from scratch? What question would you ask, or who would you call to vet this out in your feasibility?
Yeah, I think just finding out if there's where is the jurisdiction for the property, first of all. So I know that it's a county property, but it turns out it's in the city of Pittsburgh. That's happened to be where this investment is. And, going forward, I would just always check with the city planning department, wherever the property is, to see what kind of occupancy certificate has been supplied, especially if it's a multifamily. And just look at that and make sure you find all the records that might be out there on the property before moving ahead with the purchase, because it's going to be a pretty expensive and time-consuming process to get it reclassed.
Well, good. Hopefully you've saved some of us some heartache. I know there's a lot of people who are investing out of our area now, so yeah, it's not the same, right? There's other things that we have to be aware of.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought I'd just share that tip just in case people are moving out.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have known to look past that, look past what I was seeing there. Hey, Leica, welcome. Leica, what have you got going on? What's going on in your world?
Hi, guys. Oh, my lordy. Thank God for the resumption of construction, because I have an addition in Shoreline that I'm super close to getting my final permit on. My lots in Sammamish are finally subdivided. Woohoo. It's being recorded by the King County, which means I'm going to have 3 parcels in about a week.
Man, that's an accomplishment in Sammamish. I know builders and developers who won't touch that because it's so cumbersome.
It's been 3.5 years in the making. So
congratulations, man.
I know it's been amazing to get it done.
So,
and
are you going to build that out, or are you selling off the finished lots?
Katrina, I would love to build it out, but at this point, I've been into it for so long that I just really honestly want to sell the lots to a consumer or a builder, because they're 2 contiguous lots, and then sell the house and get rid of my debt and go invest in a nice apartment building somewhere and, collect rent.
So is there anyone here that knows who'd pick up lots from Leica and Sammamish?
Yeah, that would be amazing, you guys.
So Leica, if I've got a couple of resources, put your email address. Oh, I think we're on Facebook. I'll connect you with them.
Yes.
So
okay,
they pick up lots. Are the lots finished? Did you have to bring in the utilities?
Yeah. So I did all the horizontal construction. So there's water, sewer, electricity, gas, and they're like killer lots. Really pretty. So yeah, it would be perfect for someone to build them out, and you can put up to 4,600 square feet, 4,000 to 4,600 square foot homes.
All right. Hey, Rick. Also, Rick, he's here. He would be a good person to connect with. Rick, we have the same. Obviously, this is my husband, Rick Romatowski.
Oh,
so
hey,
get in touch with reach out to Leica and we'll connect her with Corey and the others that we know of.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What else? You said you've got a couple of other things.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of converting my now addition in Shoreline to an adult family home. So I'm in the process of finding a provider for that.
Does anybody else here run adult family homes? No? All right. I have no experience in that one. Have you done that in the past?
I have not, but I've been doing this for the last year now, and I have a few candidates. And I actually just walked one of them through it who seemed to really like it. But yeah, that's another thing that I'm doing. And then I, of course, have listings and all that awesome stuff. So life is a peach. And I do, oh, you guys, I do have a killer webinar this Friday. My speakers are Ryan Gibson and Sean Cotona. And this group is very familiar with both of them. And we're going to be talking about self-storage investing and shopping center investing. The good,
Well,
the
I'm
bad.
going to be on that. I've been wanting to hear from Ryan Gibson for a long time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
None of it. What time is that at?
That's at 2 p.m. on Friday. I think Nee's on this call. I'm in the car. So Nee, if you can put a link in the chat, that would be amazing. Joe Bauer was on it last time and he gave us some amazing workout tips. It was so cool.
We got to keep active in this COVID shutdown. Everybody's talking about the COVID-15.
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely.
Kenny Quartz, are you, yep, you're here. Kenny, you said you would be happy to look at any JV opportunities. What kind of projects do you want to JV on? Kenny Quartz?
Sorry, I was getting my camera back on. Any local flips or anything like that, I'd be interested. Like I said last time, I'm still trying to get in on something here if there's anything available. And I've heard that, you know, kind of one of the best ways to get started is to go in with somebody on something. So
what's your experience so far, and what are you looking to JV? Are you looking to bring the deal to the table and someone funds it, or are you looking for someone to bring a deal and you'll fund it?
I have a lot of things that, you know, I'm talking to people on. I don't have the funds to fund everything, but I do have, you know, some money to help with the deal. So either way, I mean, I have things that I'm talking to people actively on, but nothing solid. So okay. I can present something like that when I get. Yeah, I just don't want to go all the way with something and not have the resources to complete it.
Yeah, that's smart, right? Always
right, yeah.
Always look for people that know more than you.
Exactly. That's why I'm here.
Awesome. So are you looking for flips? Are you looking for flips, long-term rentals, Airbnbs, development plays?
Yeah, eventually most all of what you just said, but you know, flips probably in the short term, just to add some more you know, cash so I can do other things. You know, obviously the end goal is some cash flow and passive income, but you gotta do a couple other things before you can get there. So yeah, some flips would be awesome to add some money to the basket.
So if anybody has any opportunities that they're looking to JV or looking for a partner to bring some of what Kenny's got, how do they get in touch with you, Kenny?
I can put my email in the chat.
All right. And then in the chat, we also have Leica's webinar tomorrow. Let's see, Hadley to everyone. I would love that link. Well, there it is. Multiple buyers. Thomas, tell us what you're looking for in Linwood and Briar. Are you looking for lots? Are you looking for raw land? What are they? Commercial land? What do we send to you? Thomas, no. Am I saying that right? Who knows how to say Thomas's last name? Help me out here, somebody.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yay! Tell me how to say your last name, Thomas.
Okay, so I have a buyer looking in Prior, basically zip code 98036. So he's going to buy anywhere between City of Linwood or Prior, and basically a retirement home. He's going to just buy the last home. He's going to build 3 houses for him and his children. Basically, so we're looking for something 0.9 of an acre and up, and it's going to be a cash buyer. So he's going to buy the lot on his with cash, and then probably develop that in about a year or 2. So I've gone through pretty much everything in the MOS and make a couple of offers, but so far we haven't found a right lot. Need to be something, you know, buildable, obviously, and something that are a little bit nicer lot, not something skinny and long. So if somebody comes across anything that are off market.
Does he want to have 3 separate structures on one parcel, or does he need 3 different parcels adjoining?
Doesn't matter as long as they're close.
Okay. And then what about something that might be a tear down?
We're all for it.
Okay.
As long, so we can pretty much do anything as long as we have the possibility of building 3 homes there. Now, City of Pryor requires that you have to have 12,800 square feet per residence.
Right.
So most likely we're going to have to we can rezone a lot. We can join 2 lots and then redivide them out to make sure that we can build the amount of houses we want. But basically, that's what City of Pryor requires. So, if somebody comes across any lot, just keep that in mind and just let me know.
Okay, so Thomas, how do we get in touch with you? Maybe you should put that information, what you just went over, in the group chat and your email as well.
Okay, all right, I will send my information.
And what's their price point?
I hate to say that there is no price point, but I would say for a lot from 1 acre, roughly 1 acre, we'll be willing to pay anywhere between $750 to $1.1.
Okay, you guys, man, that's something worth going after and bringing to Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, put that in there, and I'll send that out to all my brokers as well, because we've got people pounding the pavement every day.
Okay, perfect.
Let's see, who else? What else? What is it? So Gordon Wheeler, are you still here? Gordon Wheeler? What is a prehab? Yeah, what's a prehab?
Prehab is just cleaning up what you got and relisting it for more, and not having to do a lot of work. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it takes a little bit of work. Depending on the state of the property when you get it.
So would
sometimes
you
can do a little bit
of
work to it.
You'd keep the seller on title, and then just how does that work? What are the mechanics of that?
I guess it depends. Sometimes you can keep the seller on. Other times you need to buy the property outright and then resell it. But it's just, instead of going through the whole rehab process and spending a lot of time and money and effort and possibly permits and so on, sometimes if the market is strong up there, you can just clean it out, clean it up, maybe throw a coat of paint on it, do a little landscaping, and sell it for a lot more than you got it.
Great idea.
Without having to go to the nth degree to rehab it.
That's great. I hear Julie over and over talk about just go in, she's going after the light, paint, carpet, just get it cleaned up and get it back on the market. Is that? It's especially,
something to consider here in Seattle. I don't know if the market up in Bellingham is strong, and if you can do something like that, but certainly worth looking at. While you're putting your A, B, and C plan together, that needs to be in there.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's great. And sometimes I think that mitigates a lot of risk the quicker you can be in and out. Does anybody know how long you have to hold a property before an FHA buyer can finance it? I know when we've done some really quick flips, if an FHA buyer came along, we had to rewrite the contract for a certain date, and I don't remember what that was.
I believe it's 3 months.
It's 90 days. Okay. And Nee, how does that work? Do they actually, if I remember correctly, do you have to actually rewrite the whole contract? And can they get their financing in order before that and close really quickly, or how does that work?
And I'm not a mortgage expert, but I've seen a lot of posts about this, and it's 90 days from the contract date, not the closing date. So you can be pre-approved and move most of your stuff down the line, but that date on the contract can't be it can't be earlier than 90 days.
Okay, so you could, okay, so you could change that date on or write a new contract, but have a lot of the legwork done up front. Hey, Nee, catch us up on what's going on in your world on the lending side.
Yeah, no, let me share my video real quick too, more personable. Sorry guys, I just got off a call. So yeah, so the lending side, things are starting to look up. I mean, I guess I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, lenders are more and more coming back into the space, both on the bridge and the rental side. And so we're still seeing that. The downside is that they're not coming back at the same terms as before, right? And so just because they're coming back, it's still pretty, but underwriting is still more strict. LTVs are still lower, rates and points are still higher. So that's the unfortunate part. We have, so right now, for us personally, we can do some bridge loans this month without any holdback. So which is kind of the rare case. If you are looking to buy a house and just putting down payment and don't need rehab financing, we can do some of those right now. Next month, we should be a little bit more flexible. And our rental program should be coming back in, I would say next month as well. And we're positioned to be cheaper than anything else we've seen so far out there on the rental side. So these are rental loans for your LLCs on 1 to 4 unit properties, by the way.
You'll lend directly to an LLC?
Yeah, we actually prefer all of our loans to be an LLCs, if anything. So we're coming back. Again, the rates will be higher, but it should be cheaper than some of the other lenders that have already come back.
And then, and so that's next month or that's this month?
That's next month.
Okay. So we should be looking for that in July.
Yeah, no, we're excited to come back to it. I mean, that was our favorite product, and that was a favorite product for most of our investors as well.
Yeah, in fact, I've got to talk to you about Shoreline and getting into that product.
Yeah, the you know, like the downsides of it in terms of, I mentioned before, is that, you know, comparing this with conventional, it doesn't work too well on properties in Seattle because Seattle properties don't cash flow that well, right? And so this rental program is not based on DTI, but it is based on cash flow. So if it's on a Seattle property, you might have to take, you know, just lower LTV because you can't get a loan for that much depending on the cash flow. But if you are renting it in some unique way, we might be able to support it. But I should know more. I mean, right now our underwriting guideline is being rewritten, so I should know more in a couple of weeks.
Amy, I'm just curious, why does your company prefer LLCs to individuals?
I think we, you know, when you do the individual stuff, there's always some kind of this question of how business purpose it is in some ways. And we just don't want to be in any kind of liability or conflict or any kind of thing that could be questioned about it. I mean, obviously if the property is held in LLC, you know for sure that there's business intent. So it just makes it a little bit safer. But we don't, I mean, in the past, we haven't prevented anyone from doing it in their own personal name. But usually people who put things in their personal name and it's a rental property are more going for conventional loans, right? And for us, these are all just business purpose loans, so.
Okay, and that makes sense. So there's probably still a personal guarantee required.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Amy, do you anticipate that the kind of the minimum loan sizes are going to be pretty similar to before?
Yeah, well, and I can tell you right now, we are, you know, we used to be a kind of a national lender. We're kind of refocusing our footprint on the West Coast right now. And so with that in mind, I don't think loan prices or loan limits or minimum loan amounts are going to be a problem.
So you're not going to focus across the country yet. You're going to slowly roll it back out.
Yeah, I think right now, California, Oregon, Washington, and Arizona are our primary targets. I think we'll start opening things up more too, but I kind of want to get back to a more like a local service and feel to what we do. So it helps.
Is anyone out there doing any marketing right now to make the phone ring? How are you guys getting your deals? Or is that on hold right now?
I'm doing a lot of marketing, still direct mail, a little bit of texting, and the direct mail actually over 50 years old is coming through pretty good. The texting for everybody else is going good, pretty good as well. It's still, people are wary. People are kind of not as they don't really want to enter into any agreements at the moment. Seems to be like it's slowed down a little bit from the wholesaling side, but we're still getting a lot of response.
So your call volume's good, but the deal flow may have slowed down just a little?
Yeah.
Do you find that, do you think that it's slowed down just in that people are waiting and seeing, and then as soon as there's some certainty, they'll reengage, or?
Maybe. Maybe. I don't really have a great sense of it. My partner receives the calls, so I'm not really sure what she's been, I see the numbers, I don't see the actual conversation, so we'll see. I can ask her and report back next time.
All right. Anybody else doing anything on the marketing end? Have anything? What's working? Still getting calls? Anybody doing outbound phone calls? Or using any bat skip tracing? Nothing like that? All right. Hey, you know, one of the things that I do a lot of is seller financing. Probably 80% of what I do has some aspect of owner financing involved. So does anybody have any questions about that? Is anybody else working with owner financing?
I'd like to know how you're putting those deals together. I mean, as far as like, how are you targeting folks that could potentially do owner financing? Because that's a strategy I'd like to move into better.
So first of all, in the, yeah, that's a good question. So I don't know that I necessarily target, well, actually I do. So I'm looking for any in the areas we're looking at no sale or transfer for the last 10 years, lower third tax assessed value. And then what we're finding is a lot of those people have significant amounts of equity. So if they either own the property free and clear or have significant equity, we can then engage in seller financing. We've done everything from a 2-payment plan to, 15-year seller financing. It really depends on the tax implications for them and, kind of what their ultimate goal is and what they're doing with the money once they sell. Some people just they treat it like they think of it as an annuity. So it's just money coming in, each month. One of the guys that did a 15-year contract with us, he wants mailbox money, right? So everybody has different needs, and it turns out it's just his money he uses to go to the casino each month. I've had people say no, that absolutely not. They're not going to be the bank. They're not going to finance a deal. And, in that case, but we're not able to quite come together on pricing. If I'm able to just make 2 payments to them, then there's a little bit more room in there for me to pay, right, and purchase price. So they might say, no, I can't finance you. I say, okay, well, what about 2 payments? I can give you $45,000 now, and I can give you $280,000 in 18 months from now. And the same people who've said, no, absolutely not, I'm not going to finance you, say, that sounds great. So, that's a really great question to ask, even when they've said no to what they're imagining is the long-term payments.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
so
and then there's no points, no interest, no anything.
Wow.
Payments.
Interesting. Okay, so you get them their price, but then they do concede on some now, some later.
Well, yeah, and they don't necessarily think of it as a concession. I mean, 2 payments seems really easy. It's simple. Sometimes what they're saying no to is, this idea they have in their head that now I've got something to manage. I've got to track people down if they're not making payments or default, right? There's a lot of uncertainty. And so this is a lot of certainty.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've done several deals where they've said absolutely no. And I say, okay, well, here's how you want, whatever it is, you want 400,000. Here's how I can get there. I can give you 50,000 now and 350 and 12 months or 18 months from now, whatever I think that tolerance is. And that works. And then you have no payments or, any debt service, or any that you're covering during that time period either.
And are these houses that you're holding, or are these properties that you might be flipping?
Sometimes we hold them. Yeah, sometimes we hold them. Most of the times we flip them.
Interesting. Wow.
Hey, Katrina, wasn't there, when you guys meant to put a training together for this, for seller financing?
Julie, yeah, Julie wants to do that. And so I've heard Mariska talk here, and she's a master at this. And I love the language that she uses. I want to learn from her because she communicates it at a really great level. So I know Julie was talking about putting that together. I will poke her again. I'll poke her again, and because I want to be on that training too. What else? Anything? Anybody have any other question? Who has anybody ever done any seller financing here in this group today?
This is Deb Starr. Oh, I just did my first one 2 weeks ago. It was a rental property that I had, and I did seller financing so the tenants could buy it, the property.
That's cool. How did you structure it?
We just did a 5-year term loan, and they're going to refinance out at some point. And I just went through an escrow company. We didn't have any agents involved or anything. We just wrote up the purchase and sale agreement and went through an escrow company to close the deal. And now it's theirs. And
and you no longer have to worry about anything.
Yeah, I'm just like you said. I look at my rental properties now as annuities. That was my plan long ago when I started buying houses, and that's.
And now you don't have to worry about the roof or the landscaping or property taxes.
All of it, yeah. And funny, a week before we closed, the roof had a leak.
So also, how did that help you? That also helps you out in your tax strategy, right? So you're
that's why I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the down payment and then the monthly payments that they will be making through the end of the year is what I have to report on the taxes. So until the note comes due or it's paid off, I don't really have to record a lot of profit on my taxes.
That is such a powerful tool and then you can also, and if you are able to project out what you're going to want to realize as a taxable gain, you can, and when you're going to want to realize that, then you can also craft your note to meet those needs.
Right. And we've already come to agreement that if they do choose to refinance out, they're going to give me first chance to refinance it for them. You know, if they can find a better rate somewhere for whatever reason, I might reconsider and stay on as the lender. If within the 5 years, the rates go down from what they already have. Yeah.
That's really smart. So, and then how about the depreciation recapture? So do you pay that in proportion to the, what you've received in principal?
You know, that's a good question, and I don't know the answer yet. That's something I still have to delve into with a tax accountant. I'd love to hear from others if they're going to do a webinar on this topic, how that is handled.
Okay. Okay. I have an idea, but I don't want to, I'm not going to put that out there because I've asked this question of our accountant before and I got the answer, and honestly, I don't remember what the answer ended up being. Okay, well then I'll write that down and we'll make sure that when we do that, when Julie does the seller financing, they talk about that. Right. Thomas, you're doing an owner finance deal right now. You want to tell us about it? Looks like you've got 2-year cash out, 6%, 30-year AM. Is this something you're financing or something you're buying? Oh, right now with a seller, so you're buying.
Yeah, I'm wondering what sort of down payment they're requiring, Deborah and Thomas, if any.
On mine, this Deborah, I only required 5% down payment, and that's because I knew the tenants well enough. They're very stable, good jobs, good credit. I felt comfortable with a 5% down.
In my case, no down payment with the seller, just because there are some repair has to be done. And I just negotiated that it's going to be a no, nothing down. So works out for us. I think eventually what I'm going to do is even asking for 6 months no payment while I'm cleaning up the properties.
So Thomas, you're buying this from a seller with seller financing, no down payment, 6% to your cash out, and it's a property you're planning on holding long term?
Honestly, I don't know yet because it's going to cash flow very well as soon as we clean up the property. However, I might eventually sell it. You know, maybe within a year, I'm going to start slowly market it out and then start selling it, possibly. But right now, it's such a good deal, I cannot pass on it. But I don't know exactly where do I want? Do I want to sit there? After cleanup, I'm looking at about $2,500 a month cash flow. So do I want to sell the golden goose, or do I want to just, you know, let it sit?
Right. The golden goose, I love that. How did you negotiate with this? How did your negotiation go with the seller? How did you ask for it, and what was the conversation like?
Well, so my background is in HVACs, in heating and air conditioning, and I've done both residential and commercial. So when I go into a house, I usually can tell the seller, and because of my trade, I know roofer and plumbers and electricians, and I get to see what they do behind the scenes when the homeowners are not there, or when the clients in general are not there. So I kind of have a pretty good knack for looking at the building. So I basically just sit down with the homeowner and walk through the homes and let her know exactly what I have to deal with and how I'm going to do it right, instead of you know, just a cheap fix and move on. And she appreciated that. But, you know, at the same time, this is not a deal that I come across every month. You know, I do wish I'd come across every month, but this is the first time I'm doing seller financing in probably 14 years, and probably the best term I've ever got.
That's magic when you can combine seller financing with great terms on the buy. So did she have any resistance at all to the idea of seller financing, or was it just a really easy, natural conversation?
Well, I did a pros and cons with her that, hey, if I'm going to do a cash out offer, it's going to have to be a little bit less. Or I can do a owner financing, and I can, you know, so she can help her out with her tax burden. And I'm basically giving her the income that she was looking for when she bought the properties. So the seller is an investor down in California, and she bought the properties wanting to turn that into cash flow property, but she just didn't quite know what she was doing with the property. So I'm going to have to go in and redo everything that she did. So an opportunity I'm providing the seller is that, hey, look, I'm going to turn this property back into an investment property for you. Instead of you cashing out and just walk away with a small loss, why don't we turn this back into what you wanted it to begin with, which is an investment piece of property, and I will pay you the cash flow. I will make the cash flow, and I will make sure you get your own cash flow.
So you
How
guys,
big is the property?
I was just gonna say, I hope you heard what Aaron what Thomas just said, because that's a magic question.
Oh. No,
How do would you like me to turn it back into the investment you originally intended it to be? Like, that'd be music to a lot of landlords' ears. So Aaron, that might be what you're talking about, right? So you're looking for, so you pull that list, look for non-owner occupied. Even better, not
right.
out-of-state non-owner occupied.
Yeah, definitely. I was just kind of curious, Thomas, is it a single family home, or was it a multi-family property, or?
He's on mute again. Come back, Thomas, come back.
Okay, so it's 4 single family homes next to each other.
Ah, okay. So that's what, and then
now,
and as you pay her cash flow, you're still going to net $2,500.
Yes, sir.
That's fantastic.
Now here's what I'm thinking out loud. I don't know if I should do it or not, but here's what I'm thinking: to give the seller a better sense of security that she's going to get her money, because you know she's a little bit older. She's suspicious of people's intent because she got ripped off, you know, more than once in her life. So what I'm thinking is, actually, I'm going to talk to my attorney and have an LLC created and actually adding her as an officer of the LLC that owns the property. So she's not just the financier of the investment, she's also the corporate officer that owns it. Basically just make them feel warm and fuzzy.
So do you, I imagine you're securing her note with a deed of trust on the properties.
Correct. But then at the same time, because she's a little bit insecure about her position, which, she should be, now because she already done it wrong once. I'm just thinking, I don't know, is it a good idea or not? I just thought about it a couple minutes ago that why not just add her into my LLC as an officer. She doesn't have any control over it, but it's just a title that maybe somehow give her a little bit more confidence.
Does anybody know anything about the LLCs and LLC structures and anything Thomas may need to think about?
No expertise from the legal perspective, but I would just consider the tax implications of having her part of it, because it may add complexity that is unanticipated depending on how it's structured. Just a thought. And she may get nervous about that. Yeah. So you're trying to make her feel more at ease, but you're introducing a level of complexity that she may or may not be comfortable with. Maybe she is, but just a thought.
Got it. Okay. Because we know that we're going to be 1099 her on the well, you know what? Let me back off. I'm not quite sure. Some people told me that I'm going to be 1099 them the money that I pay every month. But I also heard from some people that since it's a loan, I'm not paying that so she shouldn't be considered that as income. So I don't know about that yet. That I have to let my accountant deal with that.
Yeah, your accountant will deal with that. But think about like interest. We get 1099 from our banks for interest we've paid.
Okay, got it. So probably what they meant is I need to 1099 her on the interest aspect. Okay,
Thanks,
got it. Okay.
Details.
I know it was 1090 something.
Those details make or break you, man. Let's see, Eleni, you're looking for something. Tell us what you're looking for on Mercer Island. Looks like something on Mercer Island, northern, western exposure. Need to have a dock. Oh, she's gone. All right, well, she is looking for something on Mercer Island, 12 million or less. So that might be, if you've got any business on Mercer Island, that might be someone to connect with, maybe a deal that could be had there. Anyway, who else is here that hasn't said anything?
I can speak really quick. Can you guys
is
hear
it
me?
Urkel?
It's Ursel.
Ursel.
So, yeah, I'm a loan analyst.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to see you guys. I'm glad to be on. So I guess I just speak up about seller financing because I do that all the time. I actually got a couple deals right now we're working on for seller financing. Have any of you guys ever thought about seeking out a private lender to fund one of those deals? A seller financing deal? Is that normal? Or
how would you use a private lender in the seller financing?
So let's say, purchase is 400, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say you seek private financing and a lender will lend you up to 50% or 65% of, what the property's worth. You could give them literally, let's say, just give them 200 up front, right? And then that'll give them 200, cash them out right now. And then you obviously would make interest payments, whatever you structure it and how you do it. But, that's probably more security. You give them the 200 up front and then you still make monthly payments. So that, they get some cash now and then you're still paying them interest on, whatever you guys agree upon.
That's a really, really powerful model. Do you then put the private money lender in first position?
Yeah, the private lender will go in first position and then they do a seller carryback in second for 200 or whatever it is, but they're collecting interest at 5 or 6% on 200, right? And then they already got cashed out for 200. So now they're just, they got cashed out and collecting interest, which is pretty cool.
And Aaron, that's a really good way. That's a really good way to, if people have still a loan that exists or you need money for, so Ursel, do you use money, if they've got money, you need construction, then do you go ahead and take out enough for the construction?
You could do that as well. Yeah, depending on how it's structured, we could do construction too. I'm doing that with a couple of deals. It's funny. But I just feel, I mean, I'm not an expert at it, but I do seller financing a lot. And, you know, my advice would just be to seek an attorney, because a lot of the stuff can get kludgy and complex, but, you know, have an attorney review, you know, the terms of the loan and things like that, and make sure everything's kosher before you,
so how do you introduce that? So first of all, what types of properties are you doing? Long-term holds, flips, you know, what's the property type?
Yeah, normally it's, we do, there's sometimes flips, you know, if someone has cash reserves to do the flips themselves, then that's probably the easiest way. A lot of the times people, you know, it'd be a long-term rental. You know, they seller finance it, and then, you know, they try to refi later once they fix it up. Or so there's a couple options out of it that you can do. It just kind of just depends on, you know, what your pure exit strategy is and how you do it. So.
Yep. Okay. So tell me how your conversation goes. How do you ask for it?
A seller financing deal?
Yeah.
I would. So what you should do is reach out to a private like us. I'm not going to advertise us, but we finance seller financing deals, and you could let them know.
Why aren't you going to advertise? Are you Flynn Family Lending?
Yeah, I'm Flynn Family Lending. Yeah.
All right.
So I'm the loan analyst. I'm the loan analyst. But yeah, you can you know, approach someone, let them know that, you know, you can give them 200 or whatever that magic number is up front, and then obviously you're making interest payments, and that's just residual for them, and, you know, they're making monthly interest, you know, off of that. And that normally sells a lot of people. Instead of, you know, going into the deal and you're only making 2 payments, you know, that's, you know, it's not really, you know, not enough skin in the game. But if you can finance, you know, whatever that magic number is and cash them out, a lot of people that, you know, seller finance, they like that. So that's a good option.
Yep. So, okay. So sorry if I missed it. So how do you proposition this? How do you, what's the context you put around this proposal to the seller? Like, what do you say?
I would say, you know, it depends on how you want to go about it. I would, for me, I would say, you know, I'm interested in your house. I like it. You know, I have a lender that will finance it for me. I'll pay you monthly interest payments, whatever that is. It is a lot of ways there, you know, and they're all been different every time I've done it and help people do it. So
sometimes, okay. And so sometimes you might say something like, so they've got a property, I can't remember the 500,000, and you might say, well, here's how you're talking about how you can purchase it. Well, let me give you $300,000 down.
Yeah.
And then I'll pay the rest in payments. I'll give you $300,000 down, and then do you disclose right then and there in the form of a construction loan, or in the form of? Do you tell them the form of the down payment?
Yes, you would tell them the form of down payment is coming from a hard money lender, or wherever you feel comfortable, or with the seller. But yeah, I don't think it's any problem. We haven't had any issues like that. And normally they're very, you know, cooperative and, you know, want to negotiate a deal, and they rather have a lot more cash up front than not, right? So. Okay,
so same question for you that Aaron asked me. Where do you find your deals? How do you market to those?
Well, I don't specifically market for it. It's more so a lot of people come to us to finance these deals. So a lot of the times we're just helping people finance the deals. But what I see a lot of people they're getting them from, it's, you know, probably a friend referral, or they know the market really well. A couple of agents I know that they seek off-market properties and try to structure seller financing. So it's a lot of ways. I don't know exactly how you would approach those people and actively advertise to them. But, you know, if you could get someone to do seller financing, that's probably like the best option you could possibly get. And then lenders like us, they will finance 100% of, you know, of that seller carryback or whatever it is. So.
And then what about, does the investor need to have what is the investor that's purchasing and taking out the first position loan from you guys? What do they need to have?
Well, you gotta know your numbers, right? You gotta be comfortable with the property itself, know what you're doing. A lot of the times right now, lenders are looking for cash reserves. So if you have something like that, you know, that's helpful. Some experience level, and really seek, you know, legal advice, attorney, make sure everything's kosher, and then, you know, present all that stuff to us and, you know, try to get it financed.
Do you guys
I think the question is the reserves, Ursel. Like what kind of reserves does the person need to have, and what kind of LTV? max or whatever.
So it's normally right now what I'm seeing with a lot of lenders is 4 to 6 months in reserves for whatever that loan amount will be. So as long as you have 4 to 6 months in reserves, right now we could finance a seller finance deal. It's up to 65% LTV.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So up to 65% loan to value. So really you can go get a deal. Let's say it's 400. We can lend you up to 65% of that, and then the seller will carry back the remaining amount.
So 6 months of interest payment, 6 months of insurance, taxes.
Yeah, insurance, taxes.
Anything else?
And that's pretty much it. That's all we ask for.
That's nice.
We're pretty smooth. So, yeah. Yeah, that's about it. But yeah, I mean, structuring these seller financing deal, I would seek an attorney's advice. And I think there's
Does anybody have an attorney that they use for this, for seller finance deals? Curtis Law, we use Curtis Law in Linwood.
Okay.
They'll draft up our notes, our deeds of trust, and have done really good work for us. They'll close them too.
So do you know of because I know just from hearing from the attorneys and stuff, and the one we work with very closely, I think there's on seller financing deals, there needs to be a specific interest rate, or there's a minimum interest rate you need to have or something like that?
For tax purposes, for the IRS. So
okay.
if there's no interest, well, yes, my experience is if there's no interest on the note, like the 2 payment plan, if they get audited, then the IRS will impute an interest rate. And I think that's based on the Treasury.
Got it. So yeah, that's my advice to a lot of people is seek, some legal advice before, just to make sure everything's kosher, and then present it to the lender rather than trying to, structure it yourself. So.
Yeah. Let's see. There was. Thank you so much. That was really a great conversation. I'm going to be in touch with you if you put your email address in this chat group.
Yeah, I'll put it right down here.
And there was one other question about somebody is skip trace and call. Thomas, that was you. And Hadley, are you still here, Hadley? So you use batch, but didn't. So tell me, what are you guys using that you do like? And Hadley, what was the problem with skip trace?
So I use REI Skip, and a lot of time I do driving for dollars. I would like to just sit there and start calling people up, and I think the phone numbers, regardless of whoever say what when they advertise their service, I think I got about maybe 12% correct phone numbers, and the rest of that 50% of that is I got voicemail. Sometimes I can't tell is it the right person or not, and the rest of disconnected or confirmed wrong phone number. Don't get very good not a very good reception when people call, at least around this area. When I go up if I call up around the Skagit area, I get better, people better receive cold calls than around here.
Okay. What percent would you say was confirmed bad numbers or disconnected?
So on my numbers, on my record, around 12% of the numbers given to me are correct numbers. And then the rest that are not correct, so what is that, 82%, half of that is voicemail that I cannot confirm, and half of that disconnected or wrong number, or confirmed wrong number.
All right. Well, that's good to know. We're looking at that ourselves. I'm trying to find a good source.
I skip trace myself. So what I did was I skip trace on myself and a few people that I know to see what we find out. And what I find out is that they found a phone number that I used to have a landline that was, I don't know, 9 years ago.
Okay. Well, anything else, you guys? Get any good stuff off of today from each other? I've gotten some good tips and tricks, things I'm going to follow up on.
Kenny is looking for a CPA if anyone has any suggestions for him. I don't know if we have any CPAs on the call.
Crickets. We need to have some little cricket sound that.
So Kenny, I have a good CPA. He's not specifically a real estate CPA, but he does understand real estate and what he's supposed to do from a tax perspective. So I'll put his number in, or his name and number in the chat here.
Yeah, I mean, we all file our taxes, so I guess unless we're doing them ourselves, we all have someone we think does a decent job.
Or we don't like the person we're using. We haven't found a good one yet and don't want to recommend them.
I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm using a new one this year and I'm
let us know how it goes. Yeah. Jury's out. All right. Okay, you guys, well, time's up. We're just a little bit over, but Julie will be back next week. And I'd just say, hey, send her a message and tell her thanks for putting this platform together, because it just provides so much value. And Joe, I don't know you, but I see you every week that I'm on these calls. And I think you're kind of the mastermind behind putting all this together.
I just make sure that it's available for everybody and it looks pretty on our website.
Yeah. Oh, you do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Thanks for being in the conversation.
Thanks for facilitating this week, Katrina. Great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Seattle Investors Club. Oh yeah, no problem. I love this group. I get so much out of it. So, all right. See you guys next week.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you guys later.
Everybody.
Okay.
Bye.